Hello, this is the first video in the Desk to Human program. The focus of this program is teaching people how to stand and sit. On a desk, obviously we're sitting in a chair, 90-degree angles everywhere, we're there all day, we get stuck. And people often recognize the fact that it makes you less good at standing, right, when you're sitting all day, but it also makes you less good at sitting. And when I say sitting, I mean this, sitting on the ground, being able to engage with the ground, lay down, stand up, sit down, get up, even fall gracefully. As we get older, we need to learn how to fall well, right? Even when we're young, we need to learn how to fall well so we don't get hurt. So anyhow, that is the aim of this program, right? Teaching a human being how to do the most human thing there is, which is be bipedal, right? Stand. It'll involve no equipment. And that's the point, right? I want people to be able to do this right away. It is not a program to get you mean and lean and ripped, right? That's not the point of it. Or super strong. It's just basic. That being said, we will advance to hopefully some more advanced things that will get you way stronger than you currently are if you're not doing anything, right? Some advanced movement practices and just some advanced movements that will get you stronger. If you're not doing anything, I will definitely help you just be more active in general and feel better when moving. Obviously, just like I recommended on the barbell program, I think you should do a walking program in conjunction with this, right? Do this and go for a walk every day. Do this, go for a walk. Do this, go for a walk. So anyhow, no further ado. Today's 6 movements I'm going to teach you today are, there's going to be a lot of overlap. If you watch my my barbell, the couch to barbell program, this Desk to Human program has a lot of overlap. And we're going to start with the bridge. Because, starting from laying on your back is the most useful way I find to teach somebody how to move. So your lower back's flat on the ground, your feet are flat on the ground. You're going to focus on having your weight distributed between your toes and your heels, both pinky and big toe. Your lower back is touching the ground the whole time. Your neck is trying to touch the ground. Your shoulders push into the ground as well as your arms. And you push with everything you have touching the ground into the ground to lift your hips. Now as you lift your hips, you're looking to make a straight line here. You're looking to have a flat line in the front. And as you come down, you're looking for the hips and the rib cage to move as one. Actually, in both directions. Move as one. And if you do that, your lower back's going to hit the ground pretty much at the same time as your butt will. Right? Hips and rib cage move together up and down. Your lower back hits the ground because it started flat, hits the ground flat. That's the first movement. Practice that a lot. Right? How many sets, reps? Who cares? Practice it. That's all I'm telling you. Practice it daily. Second is going to be the quadruped rock. For the quadruped rock, basically doing the same exact thing on the flip side, right? These standing movements that I'm going to progress you to are going to be from supine position, looking up, and prone position, looking down, right? So here, we're going to have to put some weight on our hands, and what we're going to practicing doing is extending the hip just like we did on the floor, and getting as far forward as we can on our hands, trying to get to the same position where our hips are fully extended. And as we go back and forth, we're also looking for the rib cage and the hips to move as a unit, right? No, none of this happening in between, right? No, like rounding up back here or arching up here, right? Can we keep it level? Can we keep these two lines right here parallel to each other? Easier said than done, right? Take some practice. Your range of motion might not be as large as mine at the beginning, right? Your wrist might prevent you from going all the way up here, right? Or just your strength, you might go into this. Or going back, your hip mobility or knee or ankle mobility might get you doing this, right? Doesn't matter. Stay where you can control it. Practice it a lot, a couple minutes every day. you'll get better. Now, those two things are to teach the hips to move and the spine to stay together. Now we're going to start working on the practical part of things of getting to a sitting position, okay? So from your back, we're not going to get to a full sitting position today, but from your back, what I want you practicing is, well, if I can do a sit-up, but that's way hard. And it requires some momentum. I want a smooth sitting transition. So I'm going to use big muscles in my glutes and my legs to push myself to the side. Push my weight onto my arms. Right? And again, that foot right there is driving into the ground. I am rotating, and again, the hips and the hip ribcage are moving together. I'm not letting that go and flopping back here. I am moving as a one unit, pushing myself onto my arms, trying to put weight on my arms. Now, as you get good at it, you'll notice that once you have weight on your arms, you can pull with this hand and end up on your elbow. And that's as far as we're going to take it for level 1. Practice that. By sitting up on your elbow and then coming back down smoothly. Pushing off your arm, pushing off your leg, putting weight on your arm, and continuing. See how I keep reaching with this one? That really helps with this pull. Continuing until you get it to this position and then coming back down smoothly. Okay, obviously do both sides. I'm just demonstrating one side. Now, those are, or actually, I've just done 3. One more movement on the floor. And yes, movement starts on the floor. I keep saying that. This one's going to be called a pushback. Way before we can do this push-up or this push-up, which both can be parts of standing, most people can do a pushback. And the pushback is just going to take you again to a sitting position or a kneeling position or halfway there, right? Just like the roll that we just did. We're going to use our arms, keeping the elbows in, lifting the head off the ground, not looking up, still looking down to keep a tight spine. We're going to push ourselves back onto our knees. Coming to that same position we were working on earlier, basically. Use arms to push yourself back onto your knees. And then as you go forward, try to keep those elbows in and slowly lower yourself. If you've never done a push-up before, never been able to do a push-up, you might be able to do this. And that's a very, very good way to start working towards a push-up. And again, once you're on your knees, we're going to be able to access various ways of standing up. Again, we need to get to sitting before standing. Right? So, sitting before standing. I don't know what else I want to say there. Now, I'm going to work this thing from bottom up, like I've been doing, but also top down, right? So, the way I'm going to work it top down is doing 2 movements that we already discussed in your Couch to Barbell program, right? Because they're very common strength training movements. The first one is going to be the hip hinge, right? And the hip hinge is basically, well, hinging at the hip, moving through the hip, moving the spine as one unit. The hips and your head move together, and you bend your knees just enough to keep some weight on your toes, right? Just enough. Because if all the weight goes to your heels, then you lose control of a lot of this, right? Your toes control that. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep some weight on our toes, and because our head goes forward, our knees don't need to bend that much. Yours might need to bend more than mine. And then come right back up. If your knees want to go first like this, you might need to use a chair. I described that, how to do that in Couch to Barbell 1. I'm not going to do that again. You know, put a chair or a bench right here so you can learn how to use the head going forward. Almost choked there. Head going forward. So to balance that weight on your foot, right? And I like to teach people what's called an anterior reach. So forward reach. You're going to reach forward with your hands. Basically, I'm thinking of stretching from the tips of my fingers to the back of my pants, right? Literally stretching my glutes out. This thing called external cueing, right? It's supposed to work better on some people. Stretch the back of your pants, right? Think about that. Stretch the back of your pants and reach for the front wall with your fingertips. I also like to think about reaching the top of my head, right? Again, long spine, Rib cage and hips moving as a unit, and here, because the head can move, you can throw the head in that sequence, right? Long spine, everything moving as a unit. Weight evenly distributed between the heel on the toes, and the pinky side and the big side. And the pinky side and the big toe side, right? In the middle. Not here, not here. Okay? Now, keeping all that in mind, we need to work on a squat too, right? Because here, we're kind of lowering the hip down to the ground, but in a squat, we're really lowering the hip down to the ground, right? A squat is a sitting motion. And eventually, this would be a sitting position that I want most people to be able to do, okay? Now, I'm gonna switch the camera around here so you can look at my highly advanced corrective squat system that I have here. So this is a very, very, very difficult and expensive way to improve your hip mobility, which is basically, it's an assisted squat holding onto a doorknob, right? You can use the chair. I use some yoga blocks because my wife has a gazillion of them, right? To kind of mark the depth here. Start shallow, go deeper as you get better at it. Hold on to something, squeeze those elbows in, make sure the head and the hip both together. But here we're going to use a whole lot less hip hinge because we want to focus on getting your hips down to the ground, right? Rather than back, it's more down. And the knees are still bending, or bending way more actually, because again, you want to go down. You want to keep the knees pointing in the same direction as the toes. You can use a little bit of toe out, but eventually you want to get those feet nice and straight so we can teach us to walk with feet straight, right? Which is highly important. So the knees and the toes have to agree where they're going. Again, back to this, right? Oh, the knees are going inside of the toes. Knees are going outside of the toes. No, in the middle, in the middle. So hold on to this. Get some tightness here. Kind of squish your abs against it. And go down to a level that feels perfectly comfortable. And then gradually increase it. Not much more to that than that. Not much more to that than that. That is, that's all there's to it for my Couch to Barbell program. And that's not the Couch to Barbell program. This is Desk to Human. Desk to Human program. Level 1. Again, we're practicing how to get to a seated position. We're using the floor to teach us how to move our spine as a unit. And then we're doing both those things from not only bottom up, but top down. And, that should make you a better moving person.